Welcome to This Week in Christian History, a podcast from the Center for Christian History at Mississippi College. The Center for Christian History is dedicated to expanding knowledge and understanding of Christian history. Our mission is to provide a scholarly, unbiased look at the events, figures, and movements that have shaped Christianity over the centuries. You can visit centerforchristianhistory.com for daily historical highlights. And each week on this podcast, we'll do a deep dive into key moments with Christian history's leading authorities. First up on our list of historical highlights for the week is the dedication of St. Paul's Cathedral in London on December 2nd, 1697. Designed by England's most celebrated architect, Christopher Wren, the cathedral was the site of the funerals of both Winston Churchill and Margaret Thatcher. Next up on our list, and the subject of our deep dive, is St. John of Damascus, one of the most influential theologians of the early medieval church, and the leading defender of icons during the iconoclastic controversy. St. John's work, The Fount of Knowledge, became a foundational summary of Eastern Orthodox theology, and his hymns and liturgical writings remain central to worship in the Orthodox Church. He died on December 4th, 749 AD. Last up on our list of historical highlights for the week is William Carey's translation of an Indian law. Carey had dedicated his life to mission work in India, and he came across a local practice of burning widows alive. Fortunately, this practice was outlawed, and when Carey found out about the new law on Sunday, December 6th, 1829, he decided to put preaching aside for the morning and translate the new law into Bengali so that the people of that language could stop the practice. Today in our deep dive, Nick Walters, director of the Center for Christian History, talks with Father Jack Kahlil of the University of Balamand about St. John of Damascus.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of This Week in Christian History. And this week we are focusing on December the 4th, 749 AD, which is the date of the death of St. John of Damascus, who was a very important scholar and a very important thinker and a theologian, particularly within the Orthodox Church. And so we are very glad to have as our guest here, straight from the University of Balamand in Lebanon, Father Jack Kahlil. Father, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure to be your guest today.
Very fine. Well, look, tell us, for those, just maybe as some background about St. John of Damascus. Many of us, right, who would understand maybe Damascus as the place of St. Paul and Jesus's interaction, and being from there, and just some of his background. Tell us more about St. John.
St. John of Damascus is one of the theologians who lived and worked in a critical turning point in the history of the Roman Empire and the Orthodox Church. His era was marked by the appearance of Islam. His work was a profound theological, ecclesiastical, and cultural, ideological work that left a great influence on Christian theology. So he is perhaps the most representative example of the coexistence between Christianity and Islam, and this communication between both. Although he is counted one amongst the most distinguished theologians of the Christian Roman tradition, he lived and worked within an Islamic context. Remarkably, both he and his family his father and grandfather before him held prominent administrative posts within the Arabic Umayyad Caliphate of Damascus. And before telling some detailed information about his life, we have to say that the controversy over iconoclasm placed John of Damascus in direct opposition to the Roman imperial policy, Byzantine imperial policy. Yet the same conflict led him to become the most articulate and influential theological defender of honoring icons. But paradoxically, his defense was composed not within a Christian context, the Roman Empire, but in an Islamic environment, one that was, in many respects, more sympathetic to iconoclastic tendencies.
Wow.
And there he was active St. John and wrote his defenses on icons. So if we move now to talk about his family background and the historical context they lived within, we can say in few words that he was born into a prominent aristocratic Christian family in Damascus. Damascus that became the capital of the nascent Umayyad Caliphate.
Okay.
His surname was Mansour. It's kept to us in its Arabic version, name was Mansour. And his opponents, Christian opponents, many times they mocked this family name because it sounded to them a Garin, a Muslim Arabic family name. We don't know if this was a later translation of a Greek version of this name, which is Nikitas. Someone is Nikitas and became Mansour, Arabized version of his name. So his father, Sergios, held a high administrative post under the Caliphate, Umayyad Caliphate, and specifically during the reign of Abd al-Malik ibn Marwan, 685 to 705. The chronicler Theophanes, the confessor, identifies Sergios as the logothete of the Caliphate. And the biographer of St. John of Damascus refers to Sergios as the commissioner of affairs. So in summary, he had a very key position in Damascus, in the Caliphate. And biographers emphasize that despite their high administrative authority within the Muslim government, the Mansour family maintained their strong Christian faith and piety. Their influential position reportedly benefited the region's Christians, allowing the family to advocate for their interests within the Caliphate. So we know also that this family held this position in Damascus before the Islamic conquest of Damascus. And they kept them. They kept them for 80 years because they needed their expertise.
Right.
But after 80 years, a new policy was adopted by the Caliphate, maybe in the reign of Al-Walid, Caliph Al-Walid, and they forbade Christians to holding key positions, key posts. Now,
but they didn't stop that. May I ask, Father, that did not stop them from worshiping, correct? They could still worship, but holding key positions in the government, they didn't allow Christians to do that after this particular
Exactly.
edict.
No, we are
Okay.
talking about something different. We are talking about a decree prohibiting non-Muslims, called dhimmi there, from holding high positions. But regarding their freedom of religion, it was different from time to time. So the churches were taken one after another. Sometimes they underwent some persecution. Sometimes they were tolerated. So it depends about the person of the caliph who was governing there. And what else we know about his family? We know that, so by the way, we have information about his family and his person from different sources. There's the chronicler Theophanes, the confessor from the 9th century. He mentions John of Damascus as defender of icons. And he mentioned the position of his family. And he mentioned John's opposition to the emperors Leo III and Constantine V, emphasizing political and ecclesiastical context in the time of St. John of Damascus. And we have also contemporary sources or near contemporary sources, references from Arabic archives about the position of the family of St. John of Damascus. And we have also information about him from iconophiles that mentions him during his time. But his biography was later written in the 10th, 11th century in details. And this biography is now used for synaxariums. About the birth date and death date, we have, it's difficult to define both of them, but the majority of scholars now think that he was born in 655.
Okay.
And he died before the Iconoclast Council Synod of Ieria that was held in 753, and they think that he died in 745. Born in 665, died in 745. St. John, at some point, he abandoned his post and became a monk. But here we have to say that his family afforded him a high education, because his father redeemed and bought an Italian monk, enslaved by Muslims. He was put in the slave market, and his father recognized him as monk from Italy, and he redeemed him and took him home to teach his son John and his foster brother Cosmas. And the name of this Italian monk was Cosmas. So St. John received an education commensurate with his noble background, confirming his biographer's account of his tutor's broad learning, of Cosmas' broad learning. He studied philosophy, arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, music, rhetoric, dialectic, and ethics, following Plato and Aristotle, as well as theology through the writings of the church fathers that he knew very well. Besides, St. John acquired an Arabic and Islamic education. He was well informed about Islam, and he knew well Arabic, and this is reflected in his family's association with the Umayyad court, and this is evident throughout his works.
You can watch the rest of Nick's interview with Father Jack Kahlil on the Center for Christian History website at centerforchristianhistory.com. This Week in Christian History is produced for the Center for Christian History by Blue and Gold Media at Mississippi College, in cooperation with the MC Department of Communication. For episode transcripts and more information, visit centerforchristianhistory.com. Be sure to subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and follow the Center for Christian History on Facebook at the Center for Christian History, and on Instagram at Christ Hist Today. That's ChristHistToday. Our next podcast episode is coming next week. Thank you for listening.